Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Parker Kligerman, of course, the driver in the number 48 Chevrolet for Big Machine Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. How's it going, Parker?
Good, bud. I just got back to my old Charlotte studio apartment here from a full day of simulators again. So my own volition, wanted to go do basically hundreds of laps at Martinsville just to continue to try and get better. And I did this for Richmond and Phoenix, and I see a lot of the fruits of the labors when I do that and work on specific things that I want to work on. I want to show the team to look for. And so it's working. And we'll see if it pays off here tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to really have any practice or qualifying tomorrow, but definitely, hopefully it pays off for Saturday in the race.
Yeah. So what has it been like just being back full time again and be doing this?
I put out a tweet, what is it, a week or two ago, and I was like, the other drivers won't tell you this because they haven't had to not do it as long as I have. But it is really damn cool getting up every day and knowing your sole objective on that day is to be faster than you were the day prior, the race prior, the lap prior you turned in a race car. And that's your sole job. Like, that is all you have to work on. That's a pretty cool place to be. And I have jumped, fully into that and, head first into the idea of like, I'm going to go all in on this and see if we can make something of it. And we're 7 weeks in, and I think there's been flashes there that, prove to me that we can do some really, really big things this year. Not only being Big Machine Racing, but we can do big things, and we've been put in big moments and succeeded. And although we haven't got our big, win that we would have had at Atlanta or even Coda if we, didn't have mechanical failure, I think we're showing all the flashes of brilliance that I want to see. And so for me, like, going into this full time, getting this opportunity just to be solely focused on driving and going faster, and then to see like some of the things I'm doing working, that's pretty badass. Like, you're just like, okay, all right, this is good. This is really good. And so I'm just very optimistic. I have been all year. And I've said to my owner, Scott Borchetta, and everyone that will listen, that we've just scratched the surface of our performance so far. And I think we have a huge ceiling above us right now.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Scott Borchetta, how's he doing?
Good. We heard from him right before Richmond, which was awesome. And, we're all just wishing him the speediest recoveries. And, it's just amazing how much he loves motorsports and how much he puts behind, our race team and all the things he does throughout motorsports, the National Grand Prix and the Trans Am Series and the vintage cars and the stuff he does in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And obviously being able to race in Trans Am. I know how much he loves driving and racing. And so I hate for him to, be in a position where he has to recover right now. But, I think he is definitely one of those guys that just loves motorsports, and we can't wait to, see him back at the racetrack.
So you got a bunch of good tracks coming up for you. You got Martinsville, you got Talladega, and you got Dover. Just how exciting are you for three different types of tracks? Got the smallest track, one of the biggest tracks, and then the Monster Mile.
Nope. Sorry, on the phone. Sorry, man. There's some maintenance guy here. What were you saying? Sorry.
So we're going up to three different types of tracks. You got Martinsville, the smallest track. You got Talladega, a big one, and then we got Dover.
Yeah. So for us, I just feel like these are tracks that are great for me personally. Martinsville is one that I've had great runs at before. I love Martinsville. I think I'm so optimistic off of what we did at Richmond. And how fast we were at Phoenix, and just like that to me is a place that I can't wait to go to this weekend. Talladega, our speed at Atlanta, our speed at Daytona, I think it's an opportunity to win. We can win both stages, control that race, and win that race, no doubt in my mind. I've obviously won there twice, so I love Talladega. And then Dover, one of my favorite racetracks in all of NASCAR. Haven't got to go there in the last couple of years, but in the Truck Series, I came damn close to winning there multiple times. I love that place. I want to get a monster really, really bad. So I'm glad to have that chance to go back there. Darlington, easily one of my best racetracks in all of NASCAR. So like, I look at these upcoming tracks and think, whoa, like, this is the time to go get it. And so I'm very very excited, very optimistic. And I just think, like I said earlier, all the things I'm doing, I see working. I see the things the team is doing working, the things, that really have been baseline stuff that they've just wanted to let me sort of get used to is working. And so I just think our ceiling is so high. And this next couple of weeks is going to be such a fun and cool time for our race team and, for Big Machine Racing and Xfinity Series, because I just think we have so much opportunity right now.
What's it like racing on dirt? You got to do it in a truck last week, but what's it like going dirt racing?
Um, you know, dirt racing, I know I don't know real dirt racing, because I think a lot of guys this weekend made that very clear that if you've only driven a stock car on dirt, you don't know real dirt racing, whatever the hell that means. I I love it. I think it's fun as hell. So I did the 2 ARCA races on dirt. I won them both, but those were, flat tracks. Then we did this Bristol 2 years ago. We were really fast, finished 8th. I had a blast, even though it was more of like a slicked off bottom feeding racetrack. And then last year, they got it really right. And we ran the top and you ran the middle and you were sliding the truck at a 45-degree angle. And I've told this whole story where I was terrible trying to drive it normally. And then I watched Larson and Reddick and Friesen, and I watched these guys at the end of our truck practice in the first practice. And then I watched the Cup guys in their practice last year, and they were pitching it in. And I was like, well, hell, that's what you have to do. Let me go try it. So we go to our second practice. And I was like 25th on the board in first practice, something terrible. And I go out there and I just start pitching in the corner, and they're like, hey, that's P1 time. I'm like, okay, thanks. That makes sense. And I just thought that was so cool. It's badass. This car's sliding. And then this past weekend, we once again had a top 5 truck. It was the same truck. And we ended up getting involved in an incident coming back to the field. We went 21st to 10th in the first stage, and it was probably like 12 laps of green flag running. Like, that just doesn't happen anywhere. And then, you have the idea that you're sideways, and that's the fastest way to go. Like, it's so cool. And one time a year, I just think it's such a cool thing. And it's so cool for NASCAR to have such a diverse schedule. And then I watched the Cup race, and I was like, wait a second, where in top level professional motorsports do you see cars so out of their element, but being slid like this? Like, they're drifting around the corners. I don't care what the race is like. That looks cool to people. These are the best drivers in the world, and they can then be thrown on a dirt surface and drive it complete at a 45-degree angle. And I don't care who you are. You see that, you have to think, okay, these are really good drivers, right? Like, you can visually see it. You don't have to be explained why they're good drivers. You can visually see it. I think that's a badass thing for the sport. So I was disappointed from all the dirt guys. They're like, oh, this isn't real dirt and all this stuff. I'm like, that's just, to me, that's snobbery. It's like being on the road course side, being like, these aren't designed for road courses because they're stock cars. We shouldn't do this. It's just, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I hope NASCAR finds a way to do a dirt race per year every year.
So talk about getting around a track like Martinsville. What are some of the things you kind of need to do to get around there? Like the little nuances of that maybe the casual fan might not know.
It is a place similar to Richmond where the word that is required is discipline. For all the stuff you heard in, on the TV and all this times about entry and all this stuff, it's far more scientific than, I think people have realized in years past, where there's an incredible amount of time to be made on entry, and the way you brake in these cars. And there's an incredible amount of discipline required to where you position your car to have the lowest speed in the corner. And then that sets you up for the exit. And the drivers who are incredibly good at being disciplined with those specific things excel there. You see a Denny Hamlin or a Chase Elliott, they excel at that place because they are incredibly consistent and disciplined with where they place the minimum speed of their corner and how they get there. And I know that it could be confusing to you if you don't know driving race cars. It could also be rudimentary if you do, but it's at that place, inches mean tenths of a second, and compounded over 500 laps in a Cup race, that's a massive amount, right? So it is a place that truly, truly rewards being precise, being disciplined, and being consistent. And so That's something that, when I talk about being on the sim for 400, 500 laps, that is what I'm working on, and trying to get muscle memory involved, and trying to get your brain to find positions on the racetrack that's the minimum speed point, and then making sure to drive to that point. And so it's a difficult place for that reason. And I think there's a lot of people have misunderstood it for many years, and the people who misunderstand it continue to, fight it. And I've been in that position before, but I've made sure the last couple of years to try to get better there. And I think, hopefully this weekend will prove that.
And just we talked about these stretch of races that you have. What do you feel like that? What just makes you so confident that you can go and you can get a solid result? Because this is a team that can do a lot of big things this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're Big Machine Racing, right? I mean, what makes me confident is obviously our past success already. I mean, if we don't have, if we did the math, we just finished 10th at COTA and don't get any stage points in the second stage, which we were definitely going to. We had a transmission failure there. We would be sitting 7th in points right now. So that's a pretty solid position to be in for a young race team. Every single team there is established, Cup associate teams, and then there'd be us. So, we would definitely be where I hope we would be, and where I felt we would be. We just got to get ourselves back there. And I also think, you look at Atlanta, that was easy, would have been a very close call to see who would have won that over myself for the 21 if we don't get turned by Hemrick. So, that would have been a win already. So I think in COTA, we were a top 3 car, and we had some mechanical issues. So I think those are the reasons I'm so optimistic. And then I said before, the effort I'm putting into this, I'm seeing the little things that tell me it's working. And it's not stuff that's really visible on results, or you're going to see, it's going to be really hard to see from the outside, but it's stuff that I personally know is happening and working. And that just increases my confidence even further. So as I said, I'm just super excited. I'm super optimistic for these upcoming races. And I just know Patrick Donahue and everyone on this team is working really hard. And we've got all the tools. We just got to, execute, put them in place. And I think we will be rewarded.
All right. Well, Parker Kligerman, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck this weekend at Martinsville.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it. Thanks to all the fans following along. And I look forward to getting towards these hotter races in the summer.